business and think tanks for the economic recovery of Ukraine. This event is organized by Helvetas in the partnership with the State Employment Center and the Federation of Employers. We are doing this with support of SDC and also GMZ from Germany. I am Anastasia Baklan, the manager of Helvetas projects, and I will be your today's moderator. We have this team of people with yellow badges. They are ensuring our productive interaction, and they will give you guidance in case of air raid alerts. Well, in case we have any air raid, there will be quite a loud announcement. We will make a short break and continue once it is safe. We have two levels of threat. If the air raid alarm means that there is a MiG aircraft in the air, we may continue. Otherwise, we will temporarily stop the event. And in this case, you will be guided downstairs to the bomb shelter. So in this case, we will make a break also in our stream, and we will proceed to the shelter for the continuation of our activity. And in any case, we will keep our positive mood and we will be working together for our victory. We will start now from the words of introduction, then we will have the presentations on labor market and informal education, after which we will have an exciting panel discussion with the government officials, and we will hear how the outcomes of this research will be used in real projects. And after that, we will have a coffee break and one more panel discussion with local and international leaders speaking on re-education of human resources. So let's invite Thomas Mager from Helvetas in Ukraine.
Thank you very much. Be very brief. Welcome to everyone to this wonderful event. I'm looking forward to see a bit what comes out of these panel discussions. For the ones that do not know Helvetas Swiss Intercooperation, it's a Swiss-based organization working in more than 30 countries. We were created in the 50s, and we work around 300 projects, mainly focused on development, and on that topic, skills and skill development, skill for employment, economic development is a big part of what we do. So for now, here in Ukraine, we are really looking forward to the outcome of this panel, because being able to work on skills can not only address pressing needs that the country has right now because of the horrific context that Ukraine is suffering right now, but also it allows to open doors to the future and see what will be the needs of Ukraine for tomorrow, in 5 years, in 10 years, what will be the market, how can we prepare now so that Ukraine is strong in the future. Thank you very much. Have a great panel discussion. Thank you.
Дякуємо дуже, Томасе.
Дякую.
Thank you so much, Thomas. And for a more detailed introduction of our programs in Ukraine, let's give the floor to Petr Baže, country director. Hello, dear colleagues. I am from Czech Republic. I do know some Ukrainian language. I spent 5 years here. I love this country. And I'm mixing up all the languages, so I'm switching back to English.
It's really a pleasure. We see this topic as very important. What I wanted to say first is we should be really all grateful to the brave Ukrainian women and men that are defending this country. and from the international perspective, from our we should try our best to support Ukraine, and the topic of the skills development, building the population capacities. You know, the Ukraine, what has its wonderful people, they are affected by the conflict and they need support. So let's really think what we can do together as a Ukrainian and international to build the resilience and the skills of the Ukrainian father. Just quickly on the report, we did the report, Gennady will present it, and we will continue to really go deeper, and we are looking for partners which will be working on with us to develop what can be done, which interventions can be done, but also which further research can be done to explore this topic. So thanks again. Let's talk during the coffee break.
Thank you so much, Peter. Ну і звісно,
And of course, we are glad to give the floor to the partners of this event. Let's hear from Yulia Zhovtyak, the director of the State Employment Center. Thank you so much. Thank you, Peter, for your love for our country. And all glory to Ukraine. And I'd like to say that the State Employment Service is doing such service on a regular basis, but this time the scope is much larger. We were able to interview 33,000 employers. In the past, it was somewhat around 8,000. So yes, the survey is a good beginning, and our final result that we are striving for is having satisfied employers. So this way, we were able to collect the needs for the nearest times. It would be difficult for most employers to make any long-term forecasts. Long-term, I mean even for 3 years ahead. So the data we have will be valid for half a year to 1 year maybe. And so we will be discussing the conclusions we have made and the ways we are going to continue working with this data. So I'm grateful to the Federation of Employers of Ukraine. I'm grateful for the support of Helvetas. And thanks to them, we were able to start this process and do it very quickly. So I'm grateful to you, and I hope for the continuation of our fruitful cooperation. Thank you, Yulia. And we are also grateful to everyone who is taking part in organizing this event. And now let us see the slides. The slides of the overview of the situation on the labor market that was done as a part of the project to support the recovery of impacted communities in the east of Ukraine. It is financed by GNZ together with the WHH and Concern Worldwide. And let us give the floor to Gennady Rusanov, an expert on professional education and labor market. Where's our clicker? Hello, dear colleagues. While I'm waiting for the tools, let me express gratitude once again to those who made this survey possible. Helvetas has supported it with the financing, but actually 99% of this work was done by the State Employment Service, and I'm grateful to the colleagues from the Federation of Employers. So these are just preliminary results. We will analyze this in more detail. As Julia has mentioned, at this time the number of respondents was 33,000. Actually, it's more than that. It is 33,056. Well, last time she mentioned we had 8,000. Even 8,000 is quite a big number. This is what tells us how important this task is and how capable the employment service and the employers association is. This is the largest service so far in the history of independent Ukraine as such. We have received huge amounts of data. There is a dashboard available on the website of the State Employment Service, and you can check it out and make your own conclusions. We have surveyed over 33,000 businesses. Some of the questionnaires did not pass the quality control, but yeah, that's a final result from 23 regions of Ukraine, and the data are representative even at the level of districts or rayons in Ukraine. And so we are able to learn about even each of the bigger cities of Ukraine. So in total, if we count people working for these companies, these are over 2 million people, which is a huge number, and we have the most detailed information on the employment and skills in Ukraine and the needs of business as of today. What are the main trends? When I'm asked about the new trends that we can notice during the war. Actually, the majority of trends we could see in this survey, this is something that existed before the war. The war has become a factor that expedited lots of those trends, although in some aspects the situation deteriorated, but it's also a great opportunity to direct resources in such a way that the policy supports the positive trends and mitigates the negative ones. We see the continuation of the lack of qualified labor. This is something we could see before the full-scale war as well. We lack people that do any physical effort, so to speak. The builders, the welders, machine operators, etc. We can see deterioration of gender gap on the market in terms of payment. So it is both a problem and an opportunity. And unfortunately, we have a growing number of vulnerable groups and people on the labor market. More IDPs, more people with disabilities. We have not even looked into the mental trauma and stress, but this is surely a factor, and we will see long-term consequences at some point. So the most active industries are the energy and water supply and healthcare and mining, etc. So these are the industries in which there are big companies that need many people all the time. As you can see, 66% of hiring was happening at major companies, but small and medium enterprises at the same time did not note any serious changes, although the impact on the small businesses is more visible in difficult times, usually. So here we can see some trends in terms of labor demand. You can see some of the key professional groups that are the most in-demand ones in 2023. So the operators of machine and equipment, salespeople, well, we actually need to separate these different factors. So in the first case, we need more advanced people, and here we need to make sure that these people are well trained. On the other hand, we have the big need in the hotels and restaurants, and in many cases, we are speaking here of some temporary work. So this is something suitable for the younger people, people who work temporarily, who work part-time, and in this case, we could see the huge churn rate in those industries. Um, we can also see some low qualified workers which are in demand as well. So if we sum all of this up, we will understand that the majority of demand has to do with highly qualified people who are able to physically work with their hands. I will only briefly discuss the results of this survey. I will be available for your questions as well, so we will speak on this in more detail. We tried to consider employment of the vulnerable groups. We picked 3 of them. Of course, we could pick more, but whatever survey we could do would be limited, and we considered IDPs, people with disabilities, and veterans. And you can see the percentage of those people. So far, the percentage is quite low. The veterans are about 2%, people with disability about 7%. Well, we understand that the actual percentage can be even lower, and the majority of employers believe that the main problem is lack of proactive approach on the part of these populations. So IDPs and people with disabilities are not active enough in searching for jobs. This is disputable, but also the majority of employers believe they have no problems with employing these people, so they are ready to do this, but we also understand that most businesses do not understand well enough. Oh, slides disappeared, no problem. They lack the proper understanding of what needs to be done, what needs to be changed in the business, and how we can better adapt to be able to employ representatives of some vulnerable populations. And the employment of women, surely we could see some gender changes on the labor market. We could see that the mobilization of men for the army, the conscription, has contributed to higher employment of women. And if we look specifically at the professions of welders, operators of heavy equipment, and drivers, well, there are many such professions out there, but these 3 show us the opportunities for women to be engaged in these man-dominated professions, and the high automation and the use of artificial intelligence, etc. This is something that makes these professions more suitable and available for women. So we need to inform women about this, and business needs to understand that this is a long-term trend, and women need to be supported in seeking employment in such professions. The top three professional groups that we can notice are qualified workers with equipment, operators of machines and equipment, and also sales and service groups. Well, these are the three main areas in which we are expecting some growth, but the last of these groups is a group with high churn rates. So the training and new technologies, all of that is more relevant in the two first categories. And if we look into the top-rated skills, many of them are the so-called soft skills. And the Ukrainian language is now ranking much higher than before. Previously, the international languages such as English were important, but here we can see the increased need in Ukrainian, and we understand that this is the consequence of the woken up self-identity as Ukrainians. Businesses need to speak Ukrainian to their customers, so that's what we believe the reason is. And so, well, there are other traditional soft skills which are normally not included into educational programs. And, well, yeah, those who are providing education and training should consider this. How do we include all of this into our education and training? And now let us consider the needs in education. Businesses, especially big ones, are planning to continue investing into business. The largest problems in terms of investments into education can be found in small and medium enterprises. These are the companies that do not have any resources available, both for the training itself and for the assessment to learn what specific training would be most suitable. And we can see that big business has slightly more money. They are planning for the longer periods, and they are more open for systemic investments into training. If we look into cooperation with vocational training institutions, we can see that quite often there are opportunities of in-service training and internships. This is something that have existed for years, but we also need to consider other areas in which we could grow. We could also see that there was a 10% drop in terms of cooperation with institutions of vocational education. That's because many of them are currently working remotely because of the limitations imposed by the war. And finally, there are some recommendations here, a small percentage of those. Surely we need to ensure higher investments into overcoming the gender pay gap. We need to motivate women to get engaged in the professions that have traditionally been male-dominated, improve access to short-term training, improve the opportunities of small and medium businesses to support training of their staff. Something that I have not maybe emphasized enough, but the training in these 9 top-rated soft skills. This is something that we need to stimulate, because this increases the person's position at the labor market, and this is something that lets person be more effective and find a job quickly. So also quite often we can see that thanks to the support provided and the training, we are able to maintain good cooperation with business. That's it from me. I did my best to follow the timing that was allocated. The results, of course, are much more extensive, and there is a dashboard on the State Employment Service website. You will be able to get more data on the different regions and the different professions.
Once again, couldn't hear you. Distinguished colleagues, you have time to ask one question, and we will defer the rest of them until after the first panel discussion. Well, you were asking about the reason for which there is low cooperation, and 86% said that they could see no need. Why did you think they gave such an answer? Well, part of businesses indeed have no interest in cooperating with educational institutions. Not every business would see that need. About 30 to 35% before the war used to have some cooperation with the educational institutions, quite a high percentage. Some enterprises offer their own training, professional development courses. They are licensed to do that. So it's a fairly objective indicator, because indeed not every business sees that need. Well, they just, I can't say whether it's good or bad. They just don't need it. Clearly, we'd be happy to see a higher percentage. Some businesses work with higher learning institutions, large businesses, or those larger than small, medium size. The level of cooperation that we have observed is fairly high, especially for the wartime situation. Businesses that work with those institutions should probably do that in a more systemic manner, in a more structured manner, and probably have more options to exercise in both businesses and institutions of educational institutions. Thank you. Thank you, Hennady, for your contribution, for your presentation. The members of the audience have already asked whether they can have the full text of the report. No problem. On the reverse of your badges, you have a QR code, and this will take you to the full text of the study and the presentations to be delivered today, to make it as convenient as possible for you. And later on, we will follow up with emails linking it to the repository. Next comes informal education, Helvetas study that was developed within economic resilience project and implemented by Helvetas Swiss Cooperation, the right to protection, and Jerem, well-joined response to this situation in Ukraine with kind support of SDC. Larissa Lisahor, expert in vocational education, will take the floor for this presentation. distinguished colleagues, happy to see you all. And I present the findings of our study. I understand that I need to be quite succinct. Thank you. I would like to express our gratitude to Helvetas for having raised this agenda, because we live in a real world, and in a real world you may expect to have informal education, which tends to play an increasingly more important role. The challenges we are now facing have been addressed because we started earlier than that. We started at the time of the coronavirus pandemic. At a certain moment of time, we were the, well, key players who started to explore this sector. We understand that there are different domains, and in some of those, informal education plays a key role and remains a driver. But if you care to look at our findings, you will recognize that one of the first to come is related to identifying the horizon of opportunities that this system offers. One hand, it is related to the duration of the programs, their adaptability, the given that Ukraine once achieved a breakthrough in developing the national system of qualifications, and the issue of introducing partial qualifications had an impact on the labor market, because it means that employers can benefit by a very important tool to hire workforce they need at any given point in time. Plus, the vulnerable populations may equally benefit by the availability of this sector. Many people are currently outside of their permanent places of residence, and online education gives them a chance to develop additional skills they seek. We are kind of a trailblazers in terms of the pace of creating those qualification centers. The expansion of this network is exactly the way that helps that promotes intense development and of the qualifications acquired in the area of informal education. Now, if we look at its components, we will have to recall all those informal providers that offer different courses, trainings, workshops that are primarily service-oriented services, beauty, fashion. Plus, there is an important component related to corporate trainings offered by employers on the job. It's been always in existence, and its potential is still to be explored if we want to establish more durable ties of this sector with informal education. Plus, we have the so-called qualifications center providers that create these, and there are many, deserve additional attention to be paid to them. If we now focus on the main goal of our study, we would say that it was probably trying to map the providers of informal education. We are just at the first stage. We understand that this is a very solid, so to speak, sector that may have providers we don't see, but we would like to see. We made just the first step in order to accumulate information and then improve the database. So we would like to say thanks to our colleagues from the Employment Center, from the Ministry of Education and Sciences, for having helped us identify the extant providers. Now, if I may call your attention to sectoral breakdown, you'd say that 35 and 12% go to service sector. At the same time, there are, well, industries that are interested in formal education, corporate training, the enterprises that have their own corporate training center offer the opportunities. Transportation and other industries is where development is pretty dynamic. Plus IT sector, we understand that all those informal education courses have enough following. Predominantly, they are large urban agglomerations, Kyiv, Lviv, Dnipro. Same time, we have to heed the fact that there are, well, very good practices, if I may put it so. Business, as our study has shown, tries to be in touch both with formal and non-formal education. A very important finding, and good practices have to be disseminated by enhancing cooperation. Take Brovary Lyceum, for example. In the State Employment Services network of training centers, there are those that offer training for FPV operators. Now, if we try and delve into the prospects for the development of this sector, we would have to recognize that local government, central executive authorities, employers, formal education institutions have to be aware of what's going on in their regions. And every region would probably be able to boast of its own network of informal, non-formal education institutions. They may help train people in the skills that don't take a lot of time to acquire. At the same time, it's important to see to it that sufficient quality is assured. Employers are likely to ask applicants for relevant certificates. We know that Patton Institute certificates are, well, recognized all around the world. We know that many of the enterprises that issue such certificates issue them on the basis of some accreditation, and it is very important that this practice is sustained. We probably need to create an interactive map, an integrated database that would help local governments and educational institutions search for those areas that are in the greatest demand in the labor market. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you Thank you for your presentation, Larissa. We keep going. Thank you very much for that study of yours. In order to probably additionally emphasize that we want to have this event as interactive as possible, I would invite you to a panel discussion made of representatives of educationists, representatives of government authorities. To this end, I would like to invite Elena Kolesnikova, head of Permanent Development Association of Employees of Ukraine. Thank you very much for the floor. Whenever I'm asked to moderate, I ask for a chance to contribute myself to this discussion. This time I was granted this chance. Thank you. Yulia didn't know how we should probably address. I prefer to be called member of that family. We are a family, and about 10 years ago, when I was to present a labor market study, I was, shocked to see that drivers and sales personnel were top priority. Why? We wanted to show you how our findings can be visualized. We try to weigh something that is not susceptible of being weighed. And so once again, I would like to appreciate our colleagues from Helvetas, Nadia, and other colleagues. When I was trying to argue that we wouldn't be able to do that unless we change the methodology, they, well, believed me. Yulia was probably too humble. When we knocked on employment centers' doors, she said that we would take it down all the way to rayon, district level, thousands of companies. Do you understand what would it imply? Yes, I do, Yulia replied. Do you understand the burden you are going to commit yourself to? Yes, we understand, and that's exactly what we want to achieve. Either we deliver or we don't roll up our sleeves at all. So thanks, Yulia, for contributed to this study as much as we did. So if how do we visualize that? There are three major forms. High demand skills that, well, virtually are non-existent, and we have to invest into creating those positions. The second category are complex skills that need special training, maybe a year or 18 months, but as long as 6 years. And there are also those mass scale skills that need no confirmation of their qualifications, the drivers and sales personnel I mentioned before. We looked at drivers in particular, and let me ask you this question. How many drivers are mentioned in our classify? 250 is my answer, and there are 9 categories. I don't know how this transpired. Why I'm saying that? Because it would probably help you understand the significance of our study. When we mention drivers, we fail to understand what we mean. 9 categories, 250 occupation qualifications. I also said that it would be interesting to have a layer of top occupations on the map of institutions. Now look, the professional standards boxes are almost all ticked. If we speak about those qualification centers, the same holds true. If it is in progress, that is to say. That's how I run the representation check against our findings. With this, I have to invite our panelists, members of my family. Ola Koval, Deputy Head of Professional and Pre-Tertiary Education Committee. We wouldn't probably have those partial qualifications, but for their contribution. Daria Marchak, First Deputy Minister of Social Policy of Ukraine. IDPs, get yourself ready to answer some of my questions. Next, I will invite, it's victim head of National Qualifications Committee, Yuri Balanyuk. It's the guy who has to bear the brunt of all our studies, and my close family, Yulia Zhavtyak, who carries the weight of all our desires, our wishes. Yulia, I need people. How many? A lot. Go ahead. That's how we function. The fact that you still find time out of your schedules to attend events like that is a sign of our, joint victory. Now, the pivotal question, I'll confront Yulia with it. So how do you find the match between the reality and the quality of professional vocational education? Sometimes we fight over the answer. Oh yes, the scenario, the script must have been severely affected. Okay, if we use our survey as a point of departure, I'll say that we have already planned to grow the list of voucher-based qualification list by 26. Lena, you have shown us the high demand or mass uh, demand lists. How do we go about the shortfalls, more deficient? Individual, personalized approach to each employer, in-depth study of their needs, and then develop professional development courses on the job. And these are the trends of today and the future. Great, thank you, Ola. Now my question to you. What do you think? That study, would it help us promote our draft law on professional education and training? Let me put it this way. The study argues in favor of our hypothesis. What we thought would help us make some assumptions has now been confirmed. We've always maintained that we need to increase the number of specialists, and this study points to this finding. We also thought how we could involve more employers in cooperation with the educational institutions. We have also argued that not just employers, but educational institutions should be equally interested in cooperating in the cooperation. It won't go if an educational institution gets funds from the region or from the national budget and fails to respond to the demands of the labor market. This study gives you answers to what I asked my colleagues working in the committee. And to summarize, oh, it's not the end of the questions I have. 2.6% of professional education institution the study has shown is involved in the development of professional standards. Earlier on, people wouldn't even want to hear about professional standards, whereas professional standards is a way to close those qualification gaps. Otherwise, institutions would keep training skills for no one in particular, and then should do it to respond to the needs of the labor market and the institutions. Darina, I perused your publications, including those related to IDP's needs. I found that you have some ideas, inter alia, the Ministry of Social Policy is involved in this process itself. So, do you think that this study could help you improve your interaction with, well, with IDPs? After all, it will help us close some of the gaps because it has eliminated some of the difficult challenges we had to respond to. In particular, it's shown that we have a great demand for select skills and different regions of the country. However, in order to be able to work even more effectively, I'd be looking forward to yet another component. I've been advocating at all levels for identifying this second ingredient, second component. What's the supply in the labor market? Well, your study focused on demand and the role played by employers to help people adapt. But what about the supply? The Ministry of Social Policy's business is to work with vulnerable populations, and vulnerable populations are people who may have difficulty in dealing with their issues. I'm particularly referring to IDPs, a significant number of those incomplete families, and increasingly so guys age 55 plus. As of January, we had 2.5 IDPs receiving benefits, and 1.3 million of them were of productive age. Only 530 of this 1.53 million were at the time employed. 750 were not employed officially, well, probably. My policy question is as follows. How do I help IDPs find employment and terminate their dependence on social benefits? It is important to this end to have to be aware of what the current supply is in the labor market and of the mismatches that exist today and may probably exist in the future. because it is the only way I'd be able to understand that our IDPs, for instance, should probably seek those qualified skills in the mass scale demand. The labor market, as we understand, is pretty volatile, and we are prepared to invest in training and education of the people, trying to prevent the situation that the skills we've trained are no demand. Therefore, we have to be able to look 3, 5 years into the future, and this applies both to formal and non-formal education, of course, because it's a significant chunk of the budget spending on education. Helvetas, I understand, are taking notes. I've a lot to contribute to your design of that forthcoming project. Yuri, as
So, Yulia, you have, as Larissa has explained, you have the highest responsibility for the results in the training, and the discrepancies that exist. This is something that needs to be addressed. So, are you helped by this kind of research? Well, first and foremost, I am grateful for this high quality and in-depth survey. This is something that is very valuable to us for the entire national agency for qualifications, because we can see some important areas of focus. All of us here, all the participants of the qualifications system, and while we were developing it, we have selected some areas of focus. So this is a joint accomplishment of the parliament, of the employers, etc., etc. The law 2179, that's another accomplishment of the parliament. And we need to understand the importance of the communication components, the relevance of professional qualifications. We need to understand the importance for the market to develop professional standards, because the things that we are discussing here, well, the qualification gaps, that's something that no country has yet been able to overcome. The Germany, the Switzerland, our sponsors today, I've been to both countries, and they also have the same problem. The task we have is to make this gap as small as possible, and we are trying to implement every tool available for this. Yes, indeed, professional standards are not the things you can develop overnight. It takes some time and it takes some effort. We need to be grateful to those who develop such documents, and they are indeed making one of the greatest investments into human capital. And also respond in the words of Daria Marchak about what market can offer and what the employer can offer, etc. So we all understand quite well that these things are interconnected. If we don't have the people, we will not have the investments. If we don't have the investments, we don't have the money. So we have to move in both areas in parallel, because in most cases, the employer takes a decision to bring in some money into the country based on the fact whether there is human capital. And it's is not only about the numbers of people, but it is also about how organized these people are. We need to understand that the system of professional standards is an effective response to the challenges of our times. And we also have this wonderful case, which I will present to you, Daria. We have the standard for the cooks in education. This is something that has been developed by the initiative of the First Lady. And currently we have a request for the professional standard for the pizzaiolas. So this is something we got from the Association of People with Disabilities, and they see that some of these people are capable of doing this, but they are not suitable for the market right now because officially they do not match the current requirements. So we are supporting them in this area, and hopefully we will have this happening soon. Will this happen soon enough in most professions? I believe no, because it takes some effort. But right now we have a huge number of applications, about 400 in the current year. So we have them coming from different industries, such as the beauty industry, in which there are huge numbers of them, cybersecurity, 22 professional standards that have been developed. They are great. This very week, we have checked the first closed professional standards for the defense industry. And previously, we also looked through some of the National Guard standards. These are openly available ones. The Ministry of Veterans is taking their active part. Quite soon, they are going to check some of the professional standards as well. So the majority of fields are covered. And do we have any other questions? Yeah. So let me use the microphone a bit. The thing is, well, when Helvetas was getting ready for this event, they asked the right question. They are our helpers, partners, our big family. They are ready to support us. So, as you sign MOUs with our partners, what type of support would you envision? What are the most useful things to you? Please be very brief. Well, I cannot be too brief because I have lots of things I would wish for. So, first, if you have such opportunity, please continue the research. We will be able to save some of the existing budgets, and we will be addressing the pressing needs from the start. Also, some more important elements. Well, we are sometimes watching all the different videos, all the infographics, etc., etc. We all want to know how helpful this will be, and this is why support is very important. At some point, USAID supported us in the development of short videos, but we did not have additional budgets for the targeting of the distribution of this information. Also, each year there has been this unique forum, and in the COVID times, there were 4,000 people taken part. Yulia Zhavtyak has been taken part in our events all the time, and the communication with the State Employment Service is something that we have and is something worth supporting. And also there are other areas in which we are learning the experience of others. We are not inventing the wheel. We are just taking the best practices and implementing it in the national qualifications system. Some part of our work was presented here, and I'm grateful and I hope for the continuation of this cooperation. You can read the rest in our MOU. Okay, so I have a question about the corporate uniforms, so the corporate colors. Well, do you pay any additional money for this? No, you don't. Okay, and we have also discussed how important it would be also to survey the employees, not only the employers. I do agree with you, because when we hear that there are no jobs, etc., etc., I agree with you. We have some mismatch on the market, and we need to look into this as well. Who are these people that are available on the market? And we can be also supported by the international donors interim form of the classifier. So this is yet another step to identify the kinds of people we have. So if we just have the broad category of drivers, as I mentioned before, well, we need to have more information about them. We need to know who they are. So what would you add to this wish list for the donors? Thank you. I have a number of big issues I'm dealing with. IDPs, that's one. Also, people who are retired or are approaching their retirement. There is one more big area, and in this regard, I would like to request the following. We need detailed analysis of the employment problems of people of 55 years old and above. We see that statistics are very bad, and when we are changing now the payment conditions for the IDPs, we are getting lots of requests from people approaching their retirement. They cannot find jobs in many cases. People who are 55 years old or older, well, if we talk to businesses, we can hear that they are ready to hire such people. But why isn't this happening? Yeah, maybe there is some psychological barrier in place. Maybe in this age, many people are not ready to take on certain jobs. And also, I have witnessed firsthand some examples of ageism. So in this regard, we have to do some educational awareness raising work, because these are not just people who are close to their retirement. These are people of mature age, and they are facing some problems with their employment. Why so? First and foremost, and we have a part of our team here. We have developed the draft demography strategy. We can see from the numbers that our population will age quite quickly and considerably, because we have low numbers of childbirth. We have lots of children who have left the country because of this full-scale war. We have most of the elderly people staying here in the country, and the diagram in the country is currently in the form of an upside-down triangle. So it should be normal to us as a society that a person of 55, 65, 75 years old, they need to be able to work, and this poses a big task for us as a society and for us as a labor market. We need to be ready for such a person to be employed, and for this end we need to know what are the qualifications these people need to have, what are the jobs these people are suitable for, and what are the jobs that are not suitable. We need to adapt uniforms, etc., etc. And one more huge category is people with disabilities. Before the full-scale invasion, we had 2.7 million, out of which just 16% were employed. And what if someone in the armed forces is getting a serious injury and we are not ready to find a job for that person? This means that till the end of their days, they are going to be dependent on the government. And if they are bedridden, then their spouse will also have to stay at home and take care for that person. It is great that right now our society is paying attention to the veterans, but also the problem of acquired disability is becoming the problem of many civilians who are also impacted by different attacks. So what could be the profession of such a person? Theoretically, this could be someone in the IT industry. So we need to look for balance. We need to look for the niches in which the people with some functional limitations can still be suitable for a job. And we need to start getting ready with the retraining programs for these people. So the changes on the labor market, the development of formal and informal education, that's a very important area. And this is something that indeed needs to be done, keeping in mind these huge numbers of people in the vulnerable populations. And we need to have a long-term strategy on how to match the offer and demand. Yeah, this is a wonderful idea. We will work with our colleagues to look for the answers. Let's hear from Olga. You are a member of parliament, and I believe asking for money is part of your job. But as a part of this reform that we are having in the vocational education, what would you like to get? What type of support you would like to see from the international community? I will start from the things that we are already getting. So this is some real cooperation that we are having. We are getting some support in terms of development of regulations. We are getting some support in terms of the equipment and technical support of the upgrade of vocational education institutions. We would like to see more of that because there is this stereotypical view of the vocational education and these working class professions. This has happened because the government has neglected this huge area for quite a while, and right now we need to make up for that. We need to make these professions attractive again, and we can see from research time and again that these are the people who are in demand. And my strong desire is to invest into educational institutions. The government, the donors are working to launch the new training centers. There are many new professionals in the field of plumbing who are being trained. We also have some cooperation in terms of electricians training, and I would like to have more of those centers of excellence. This year, the government has provided some money, and we allocated them to 72 institutions already. I want this number to be as high as 100. So this is the number used in the campaign of the Ministry of Education. 72 is not a good number. I want to see 100, and this would be a good starting point for cooperation with our partners. Well, you have not asked for anything, but one would want to give you money already. Well, I know about your desires, and I also understand that you have lots of challenges before you. So there is a reform happening in the employment service as such, and we are on the same page in many aspects, but there are still things in which you probably would like to have more support from the international partners. Yes, there are many of such areas. And if you permit, I would like to explain what is the difference of this survey. What makes it different from what we had before? As a rule, the employment service was taking care of this task without anyone's support. And I'm grateful for the high assessment of the results produced by our staff. It's a pleasure to hear about the things from others. So, as a rule, all of this ended with a slide deck with the same kinds of data every year. We lack tractor drivers, seamstresses, etc., etc. And once we have agreed upon this survey, and it was happening for a month, it was November 2023, and we have surveyed the largest number of employers in Ukraine's history, over 33,000. And Elena says that we have reached the level of districts. Why is it so important? Well, there is some important practical essence in this. Previously, we had this service happening at the regional level, and in this case, Zaporizhia, Dnipro, etc., were slightly different as they are industrial regions. But right now, we have reached the level of districts. There are 126 districts. We are excluding the temporarily occupied territories for now. And all the data that we have obtained were the data that we got for the subsequent efforts. And the survey itself is something we did to understand the short-term needs of the employers, half a year to 1 year. And we understood that currently the pressing need is to find 24,000 employees for the 33,000 employers we have surveyed. And out of those people, 17,500 have submitted their vacancies to us. 9 people were employed. Many people got support in terms of professional training, and about 10,000 employers are intending to benefit from our compensation programs. And let's speak of the practical things here. So once this survey has been completed, the cooperation with employers should follow, and we need to take care of the needs for the future periods. We need to work on a case-by-case basis. And as I'm listening to Daria, I understand that in our future surveys, we can have more of those practical elements to realize more about the employer's willingness to hire the IDPs, people 55 plus, and also people with disabilities. It was yesterday that we signed something with the Ministry of Social Policy and also Ministry of Disability. We have lots of successful tools such as the DIA application, but there is one more big task, which is data exchange between different agencies and structures. Last year, I have visited the Estonian employment service, and they share registers with 66 different registers. So yeah, we have the examples in Ukraine where the Ukrainian registers have not been that ready to cooperate. And also, how do we understand those people with disabilities and others? We, the employment service, do not have access to the registry, and we need to be able to find those people who are not employed currently. We would be able to call this person, learn if they need any help in terms of their retraining. Right now, we are not reaching out to these people, and so we should be able, as the employment service, to do this. We are changing the preconceived notions about the employment service, and indeed, we are 33 years old as an agency. There are lots of processes that we have updated already, and we have some vision for the nearest years ahead. We will digitize things and remove paper-based documents wherever possible. We are focusing not on the things that have become the reason for stereotypes. We know that people are sometimes not using our services because they believe they will be offered some mismatched professions. So we should offer something that the person would like, and so quite often we would see a mismatch between the person's education and the reality of life. So we need to be able to work with both employers and employees, and I do agree that we need probably to change the focus of the survey somehow. And on top of the employers, we also could survey the people with disabilities. So once we integrate our registers, and once we start dealing with the IDPs, as the conditions for their social support have changed, people who are of not the employable age, they should be contacting the employment service to get microgrants or to get retrained, etc., etc. And it is quite noticeable that the numbers of IDPs are increasing. I mean, those who are contacting us. Not everyone is ready to get employed all at once, and this is something we also need to work on. So, yeah, we are now officially advertising employment centers, and our main task is to offer uh, something desirable to a person, no matter if it is an IDP or not. And it is also a good chance to introduce the other services that we have in stock. We have training and retraining programs. We have young entrepreneurs programs. We have programs for people with disabilities, and we have programs to support employers to get their workplaces ready for people with disabilities. So it is important to take care of providing something useful to our clients, something that they could keep disseminating among their friends and family. Yeah, and we are ready to support this effort as well. So if I knew the data from the very beginning, we would have a big cake with candles and fireworks, because there are reasons to celebrate, and it's a great thing that we are having these things, these projects with the partners. And now I have the permission to take questions from the floor. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. You will be given a mic. Please introduce yourself. And of course, we need to adjust our answer to the place where you're coming from. Hello, I'm Pavlo Filipenko. I'm the head of the Kharkiv Volunteer Building Battalion, and I'm the owner of the first free express school for building professionals in Kharkiv. We are a charity, and we have made lots of people recipients of humanitarian aid. This is a big challenge to find those people and make sure they come back to the society and contribute to it by means of paying taxes, working, getting new skills, etc. And I believe the greatest step in this regard would be first serving the people to learn what they want to get. Yeah, why aren't they working? Yeah, what are the skills, the reforms they lack? Yeah. Because our government is doing a lot as of today, but these things that our government is doing is starting from the standpoint of this survey, but we also need to know the opinion of the people. Yeah, by the way, as Darina has mentioned, we need to have two officially employed people to pay pension to one person. Yeah, this is one of the key messages. We need to understand where the money is coming from.
But what I'd like to interject is that, well, I agree with how the question is formulated. The Ministry of Social Policy finds cooperation with the State Employment Center important because we have decided to depart from the erstwhile approach under which benefits were paid without any consideration for the desire of people to get independent. So now, if there are several people of employable age in a family and they don't have employment, we will offer them support on condition that at least one employable member of that family should go register with the state employment center. I think that the rationale is, well, straightforward. So, the state offers support to a person in dire situation, encouraging such person to seek independent means of subsistence. Great. Yours and then you. Elena Yermakova, head of Service Kiev Independent. When the second phase of study is over, Helvetas is, well, where they've just ended the first phase. So when we've seen that we lack workforce, do you think that work migrants can come in handy? Well, you may have heard that migration is, well, normal, and often employers would discuss that matter with the representatives of state, and we had a number of plans. But with the outbreak of the full-scale war, the plans were shelved. The donors that would contribute, the migrants are, well, almost without exception, pro-Russian jurisdictions. Some companies say, oh, we can bring in some migrants, and I tell them, look at the flag. Oh, we're sorry. So I don't know whether you've looked into this matter more recently, and if you did, have you found any answer? Well, we don't have a recipe, but when the strategy is made public and submitted to public discussion, we will probably also say that in the future, external migrants would play a role in meeting the labor force demand. Take Germany or any other nations. They say it is very difficult, almost impossible to maintain the balance unless you rely on migrants. A natural growth of population should be 2.2 kids per woman, so as to remain at the level of population we have. But in our world, we will have to do a lot of homework, and this homework should embrace several things. First, it is risky to exercise any options in promoting migration as long as many of our citizens are not properly employed. It'll put additional stress on the economy. So we have to have a better understanding of what's going on internally, where those people who are outside of the official labor market, and see these issues and then try and involve them to become official workforce. Only after we've seen that it is the unmet demand is purely quantitative rather than qualitative, we may turn our eyes to external migration. We also studied the international experience. New Zealand, Australia, Canada, successful in attracting external migrants. All these nations seem to follow the same approach. They are very selective about work migrants. In Canada, they use special scoring systems. They look at the skills, country of origin, and also specify soft skills that applicants should have. The cultural code they will share, so to speak, in order to not create additional tensions in the nation, and then only open doors to to inviting external migrants. But you understand that it would involve a lot of effort for Ukraine, and this once again takes us back to the supply and demand balance in the market. There are two more speakers who would like to contribute. You should probably understand that mankind's challenge in the future is to find, well, some sort of employment for their people. In Hanover, they installed Swiss-made robots, displacing some of the workforce. So we have to understand how specific skills are needed and how actual they are. Deputy Minister Bortnyakov a couple of months ago announced that they included a list of IT specialists in the classifier. Interesting to know whether it had been not that way before. Second, the skills that have to be up to date to match the demand. And second question, the actual character of the occupation in question. Welders were different from the welders of today. Why do you think so many women now pursue historically male occupations? Because the workplace conditions have become more comfortable. You don't have to, for instance, use your hands, but rather your smartphone to operate a welding machine using infrared or Bluetooth protocol. So we have to think about the organization of human capital in Odessa region, in one of the districts. There's enterprise manufacturing tanks, vessels. And the guys who were listed as managers have their qualifications confirmed. They do what they used to do, get paid for what they do, and they export tanks to EU, indicating that tanks have been manufactured by qualified workforce, certified workforce, and see that the cost, of course, is higher, the output is higher, the wages are official, but so look at the organization of human capital, internal organization. Of course, we can look at migration, but first let's tidy up things at home. Euler, I understand, was willing to say something. Workplace organization will certainly have an effect on internal organization. I'll be very brief. Let me second Daria, for instance. I attended an event dedicated to publication and a new study that suggested that 30 years from now there'll be a wide-scale crisis in terms of employment. I agree we have to tidy things up, better understand our internal resources, make Ukrainians want to return home from where they are now. By the way, many analysts say if foreigners were invited, what kind of nation we'd have in the end. As an employment service, we issue permits to to foreigners, and at least until the breakout of the full-scale invasion, we had only one international treaty in place. Israel once wanted to have 20,000, well, vacancies to fill in the construction industry. Now it can happen after, but 2,700 Ukrainians were employed on very clear conditions. The terms of the contract, level of compensation, adequacy of skills. So what I'm saying is, once we've straighten up the situation in our labor market and have an understanding of how many Ukrainians are likely to return home, we'd probably look at the option of making international agreements. As a representative of the business community, I'm 100% against giving our people or sending our people elsewhere for employment. Thank you, Artem Koval, GIZ. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for a very interesting study, a comprehensive one. It is. I noted one important figure: number of employed people, 7.9 million. Ms. Marchak, a couple of months ago, estimated the number of people at 32 million, right? Currently, UNDP says that 64% of our population are people of employable age bracket. So how would you explain that 10 million people seem to be outside of the figure quoted, and what do you think the government policy is? Would it, so it's a tricky question. No, 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 no tricks. I'm just relying on what you showed in the study. And among other things, it refers to obstacles in employment, and many of those obstacles are artificially created by the state, not natural obstacles. They are, you are probably right, but probably to mitigate the. This isn't a new issue. It's been in existence for 70 years. Our labor codes are 70 years old, and all those obstacles, all those barriers. No, no, no. I would disagree. It doesn't have any relation to the fact that the labor codes are 70 years old. They've been amended on so many occasions. It's fairly updated. I'd show you some instances of what I'd call obstacles. Well, this is a very multifaceted question that would probably call for a dedicated discussion of all Ministry of Finance, Tax Administration, Ministry of Economy, and many other authorities. As far as I'm concerned, I can tell you this in regard of the issues that are in our ambit. I have no all-round answer to offer you now. As far as we are concerned, we see the following, and the IMF has oftentimes pointed to this fact when we say that several million Ukrainians might be outside of the official labor market. We need to understand that it doesn't always imply that that self-same number of millions is not officially employed. every individual may take a break, so to speak, out of their employment, especially now, IDPs, migrants abroad, the relocation of enterprises, a handful of different factors. As a professional who is, amongst other things, involved in the analysis and functioning of the pension system, I can tell you that we have often drawn attention of the World Bank to this need to adequately interpret this number. Second, some and there are no updated estimates of how many people are now employed informally. 2 million of the people in employment pay minimum taxes. 1 million of them are individual entrepreneurs and social contribution. Social contribution is paid by 10.5 million of our citizens, including military men, and if 2 million out of this 10.5 million pay social contributions from the minimum income, it means that about a fifth of our citizens, I'll be diplomatic as much as I can, maybe hypothesize to draw higher incomes than what they declare. I often am confronted with the following premise in different discussions. Young people say, why do we have to care to pay taxes if we are not ever going to get retirement plans? The only counter argument I can offer is that if we don't pay social contributions today, soon we won't have money to pay retirement benefits to the retirees because and well, retirement plans is the result of the official the taxes paid on your official salary. So it's indeed a very multifaceted thing that, well, stems from the current state of legislation, but quite significantly from people mindsets. People who say that they won't pay because they are not likely to get to draw any benefits exacerbate the situation. Before the war, I talked to the pension fund. We discussed about shadow economy, black. Shadow is when you declare a minimum salary, and black when you are outside of the, so to speak, radar. Now that we've created that system, some of the issue, well, the issue has been mitigated. Know that we say someone you have to undergo training for 18 months, and then we will recognize you as apprentice. Now we've started. So this has been a legal barrier that we have now eliminated. We provided incentives to others. By the way, tax burden, the government issued the results of a study on tax-related income, and I would really concur with those who say that most of it comes from your mindset. So this discussion is going on. It might be jovial to an extent, but everyone is probably waiting for any advancements in the reform of the pension system. We have heard statements like that, and do I care to about my pension benefits? But if this question asked of a person 25-year-olds, you are not likely to get all the substance from their answers. So I have a question. I recently touched base with my relative currently residing in Spain, and so her kid attending the primary school, grade 3, told her that they are taught how important it is to pay taxes, what comes out of these taxes. We often talk about professional guidance, and I think that part of vocational guidance should include knowledge of, taxation systems. We adults know that 22% of the single social contribution paid by employers go almost exclusively to the social fund that is used then to pay sick benefits, etc. Your sick leave, your maternity leave, your unemployment benefits come from there. So I do believe that it is important to start teaching kids about importance of taxes very early in their lives. We all believe that, members of our military understand that taxes we pay are used to support them. When you are 20 years old, it's hard to change. So we need to start early. Please work with the education committee. No, we, Ola, so 30 seconds, what Yulia mentioned. Let me respond. Within the new Ukrainian school reform, we initiate a revision of curricula for senior school that in order to incorporate financial literacy classes. That's where changes are overdue. A couple of words about professional guidance. 100% agree. This kind of soft professional guidance should start from probably kindergarten. Kids in the kindergarten should get some ideas of what many occupations mean when they are young enough. I could see your hands, but we really have to wind up this panel discussion. Let me open a secret. I won't speakers leave until you have a chance to ask them the questions you wanted to. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention and for a very informative and lively panel discussion.
Наразі продовжується нетворкінг, а до роботи повертаємося о 16:20. Тому ті, хто з нами в онлайн-форматі, залишайтеся, будь ласка, на зв'язку і чекайте на панельну дискусію номер 2. Дякуємо за увагу.